Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Mystical. Today, I want to bring you an updated build that I think is the best for Mistweaver after the nerf. So before I talk about the build and why we're even playing this build, I just want to obviously go over the nerf that you probably know what it is, but they nerfed the damage of rushing wind kick by 50%, and this heavily impacts your healing output when you're playing hybrid. So before, what you were trying to do is you were trying to do as much damage as possible, right? So every single bracket hybrid was the best in, and you're going to go in, you're trying to hit as many targets as you can, heal, and most of your healing, a good amount of your healing came from Vivify and from your ancient teachings. And I'm going to see, I don't have a breakdown of before of like what the build would do if you played it today, but essentially ancient teachings is doing about 50% of the healing it does before, even less sometimes. Like it used to be 20% of my healing, and now it's down to like 5 or 6%. So you can't play that way anymore. So instead, what you're going to do, and I tested this build for about 2 hours, and I 5-1 to shuffle. Let me see. Let me pull up the reflex. I 5-1 to shuffle, and I 6-0 to shuffle. So these were the two that I did a lot of testing on. It felt pretty good. So here's the build. I'll put a link to it in the description. And essentially what you're doing is you're playing Crackle Build. However, you're not crackling to heal. You're playing rushing wind kick. And the entire goal of this build is two things. You're using your rushing wind kick to get instant vivifies, and you're playing 2-set with conduit to get the cooldown reduction on life cocoon. That's your goal. So I would say on average, your life cocoon should be about a 50-second cooldown if you have all your cooldowns and if you're doing it correctly, and I'll explain that in a second. But the only thing I would change on the left-hand side, obviously, is just drop Clash. If you don't want to play Clash, you could put it here, something, or get rid of wind walking, and like you could put it here if you want the extra defensive here. So those are the two things those are the 3 talent points I would change on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I have not changed a single thing. You could drop Crackle for mana. For a mana, Energizing Brew if you need mana. That's pretty much it. But that's the only talent you can change. I would say everything else is pretty much just solid. I don't think there's much you can do about that. And yeah, the build is basically you're playing from range. So you're playing Yulon instead of Chi-Ji. And I like Jade Bond a lot. And you're just playing from range, using your hots, Enveloping Mist, Renewing Mist. And whenever you need to do damage, use your Thunder Focus Tea, Enveloping Mist. And then kick for the instant Vivify. That's it. That is the only difference. You don't need to hit a single soul with rushing wind kick, by the way, to get the proc. Rushing wind kick and Vivify, instant Vivify. So that's the big change. This is the build that I am running, and actually pleasantly surprised. The other important thing about this build, besides using rushing wind kick for instant Vivifies, is your passive Heart of the Jade Serpent. So this is what makes the build feel pretty good, actually. So what this does is whenever you use Shaylun's Gift, you call upon Yulon to increase the cooldown recovery rate of your Renewing Mist, Rising Sun Kick, Life Cocoon, and Thunder Focus Tea by 75% for up to 8 seconds. So what that means is for every stack of Shaylun that you use, you're going to get a buff. I think it's like half a second per stack. So if you get 10 stacks, it's like 5 seconds of the buff or something like that. And then with 2-set, which you should craft, is whenever you Thunder Focus Tea, you get that Heart of the Jade Serpent buff at 33% effectiveness for 8 seconds. So that's really good too. What this boils down to is your goal is to reduce the cooldown on your life cocoon as much as possible. So what you're trying to do, in a nutshell, is your first cooldown, no matter what, and truly, no matter what, is to use Life Cocoon first. Life Cocoon first, and then from there, you're going to be using your Shaylun Gift and your Thunder Focus Tea as much as you can. That's all you're trying to do. And then that way you get the cooldown on Life Cocoon faster. You're using Rushing Wind Kicks for damage. You're going to get your Thunder Focus Tea back faster as well. And you're just going to keep doing that over and over again. Now, the other good button is Celestial Conduit. So this is an extra cooldown that you have, which is really good. And this will heal. This will do some spread healing, which is really good. The damage is okay. It's not insane. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know if it does insane damage. I must not have used it this round. Let me see. Or hit anybody this round. Let me see. Yeah, right here. It's decent damage. I used it once and did 6 million damage. So not awful. And it splits the healing. But more importantly, it will trigger all those Celestials. And really the only important one you want to worry about is the Heart of the Jade Serpent. This is like the big one that you have control over. I would say Mistweaver is still one of the worst healers for sure. This build is decent for the instant healing it has. And again, you're just rushing wind kicking for the instant Vivify. That's it. You're just trying to take advantage of Vivacious. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. You're just using your hots to heal, Envelop Mist, Renewing Mist, Thunder Focus Tea to rushing wind kick, instant Vivify, rushing wind kick, instant Vivify. You get an Envelop Mist there I got, and I'll just use my Expel Harm. And then when you need to heal, you got your Yulon for Enveloping Mist and stuff like that. So overall, pretty good. I make sure you craft the 2-set if you're going to play it. I put it on the legs and the shoulders. Some people put on the helm and the shoulders, but it's up to you. I like the high haste from the shoulders and the legs. So that's what I've been playing. But yeah, if you have any questions at all, please let me know. Overall, Mistweaver, you cannot play how you played before. You kind of have to play this way. And yeah, that is pretty much it for me. Hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the day. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.